Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the most entertaining Terran out there. In the red, it's the Admiral, GuMiho. Up against the hometown hero, the Protoss in the blue, GuMiho. Showtime, the wall. A best of 7, Terran versus Protoss grand finals to determine the winner of Homestory Cup 25. And it's been a minute since I've seen either of these two players on a stage of this magnitude. So I'll only take a fraction of a minute to beg you for likes, and if you haven't made it there yet, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,353 likes on this video, on this cast. I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I would do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. I don't think these two could be better matched. They're both probably the most... This is going to sound like one of those buzzwords. Trust me, it's not. The most tactical players of their race. Neither is the fastest. For Terran, that has to go to Clem. For Showtime, for Protoss, it's probably Max Packs. But they're both so good at thinking 2-3 steps ahead that they're able to carry themselves to a higher level. In fact, Clem taken down by GuMiho's tactics and Showtime beating everyone else in order to end up here. Well deserved. And I think the exchanges they have, even though Terran versus Protoss can be a very polarizing matchup where it feels like the advantages swing wildly back and forth, I don't think that's going to happen here today. Not with these two. But starting things off, GuMiho pulling something off out of his bag of Terran tricks. He's going to try to turn the Marauders into a... Well, this is an attempt at a game-ending, or at least heavily damaging build. Concussive Shell Marauder Medevac. And even if Showtime sees the Medevacs, he's going to think that's a Widowmine drop, maybe Cyclones. Well, maybe just Marines. The Shade sees it. The beauty of this sort of build is that even if he sees it, he doesn't know what it is. He's not going to expect... Wait, did he see the tech lab? No. He did not see the tech lab. He doesn't know there are Marauders in there. And what he doesn't know certainly can hurt him. As those Marauders... Hey, it's GuMiho, open up! Nothing in between the gates. The Hellions could get right through. But GuMiho isn't looking to slip by. He's looking to kill everything in his path and just knocking down those stalkers. Knocking them up and then down, even, to get a little bit fancy with things. A Reaper and Hellion finally making it through. It looks like Showtime has just barely enough stalkers to hold. The probes are pulled. It actually killed the Reaper. Hellion citizens arrest. And Showtime holds with only 3 probe losses. Well, he's not nicknamed the Wall because his defenses are weak. He manages to mitigate the damage. He loses 6 stalkers, which is still quite painful. That is a significant blow. But the Medevac, the blink is done. The Warp Prism is across the map, and he might actually be able to chase it down. He hunts him to the ends of the earth, and he gets the Medevac. Ghetto blinks back the Stalker, and those 2 Marauders as well. Only loses 1 more Stalker, and now that he killed the Medevac, the only starport unit out there, Viking just popped out, but without the Medevac as any sort of threat, now Showtime will take the initiative. The sea has sawed back. Not sure about that one, but it's Showtime's turn to lay on the aggression in GuMiho's base. And, well, with a couple siege tanks in position, GuMiho understands that siege tanks are one of, if not the best unit in the game. Alright, they serve their purpose incredibly well. He's never been on the Widowmine train so much as embracing the power of the siege tanks, but maybe letting them down just a little bit. Loses 1 to the swift blink into the natural. Is there even an observer, or did he just get a lucky pick? Well, being in the right place at the right time is more than half the battle here. As Showtime picks up 5 more SCVs, he gets a siege tank, and he keeps GuMiho bottled up in his base. Showtime not overextending at all. But now has a 3rd Nexus. He's got Robo Bay on the way. Forge 4 more gates. And, well, the Observer will give vision into the main, blinks in. And GuMiho doesn't... Complete. Well, that supply depot was taken out. There are blink stalkers currently in the main, and the Observer sees everything. GuMiho knows the Observer is there. He doesn't, well, he has the energy for scan, but at this stage of the game, you're not really moving out with much more than a single medevac. This is honestly kind of a desperation move. It could be very damaging, but sending out pretty much his only medevac in order to try to do some damage will move out. Wants to build a command center on location. Stims the Stalker's blink back, takes down that observer, and will build on location. GuMiho, if he can get some damage done with this drop, if he can drag Showtime back and maybe pick off a few Stalkers, down go a couple. He doesn't have charge on. There's no anti-air here. 8 probes, gun down. Man with gun, very strong. Another medevac. 9 probes, and just like that, the fact the medevac will anchor some of those Stalkers back in the corner, while another double drop is lined up for the natural, right now looking much better for GuMiho than it was just a few moments ago. But still, that third base is up, and part of the reason Showtime didn't have the units there is because he already invested in infrastructure. He's already gotten blink, and charge is almost done. +1 ground weapons is about to complete. Extended thermal lance. Gonna be looking, well, to make sure those bio units are hot and bothered by the Colossi. So, even though Showtime in a bit of an awkward spot when it comes to dealing with the medevacs, he's already invested in that extra production, and that's what GuMiho's doing right now. He's getting 2 more barracks. He's getting his armory. He's getting his second engineering bay. These are things that have not yet paid off. So Showtime supply should be able to keep up. He's got 8 gates done, and that's going to be incredible. Hallucinated probe scouts. Oh my god, 107 IQ play right there. Why not? All right, you have the sentries. You usually have them enough energy. Hallucination's relatively cheap on it, only 75. At least, unless we pretend buffed it again. And why not? I like it more than the hallucinated... Well, when you hallucinate probes, you get 4 of them. So, I mean... Stonks. Disruptors on the way. 3 Colossi. More than that, it becomes a bit of a liability. Or so Showtime seems to believe. As Vikings and siege tanks, they're fragile creatures. 3 Colossi are enough to burn through any groups of Marines and do real damage to Marauders without making you too reliant on a very top-heavy composition. And now the Warp Prism into the main. GuMiho is halfway across the map. A Widowmine drop going to be attempted. Another drop in towards the main, but Blink Stalkers move to intercept and takes it out. A watery grave for that medevac. And 9 SCVs dead. Showtime eviscerates a Marauder, taking down more of the workers. And hasn't really suffered any damage. GuMiho just sitting in the middle of the map. He couldn't decide whether to go forward or back, and now he's just in purgatory. He cleans up the charge lots, but now Showtime with a 4th base on the way. Widowmine coming in, going to attempt the drop of the Blink Stalkers and the Colossi. More than enough. Charge lots intercepted by the main army, but the main army is now scouted. Showtime. The supply's not really telling the story. Showtime has a pretty comfortable position with these 4 bases and double Ruptor production. Should be adding on a few more gates soon, and then looking to move out and try to find an opportunity to whittle down the army and win the game. Now, it's not so easy. All right, chasing down those Terran armies with their stims and their medevacs, their concussive shells, is a difficult proposition, and that's part of the reason GuMiho has his army out here, just kind of in the middle of nowhere, threatening. Because if Showtime moves out, there's likely an army ready to move in. And Protoss armies don't work so well when you divide up all the powerful pieces. So GuMiho using the mobility of the M&M and M&M here, and a Viking as well. Marine Marauder medevac in a mine. No blinks out of the way. That second group, there's an observer spotting all this. Showtime's already accounted for it. Box out 1. It delays a Nexus. GuMiho is taking a 4th base himself. He's been able to maintain map control. At least some semblance of it. With Showtime consistently keeping vision out there. He knows the map is dark and full of Terrans. Can never be too careful, and GuMiho trying to keep it dark by setting up scans to deal with observers. But Showtime's observer a little out of reach right now. 5 more gateways. Going up to unlucky, well, lucky 13 at this stage. And that should be enough in order to refill his army when needed. As right now, Showtime is nearly maxed out. Oh, Widowmine takes a bite. And here comes GuMiho. He's sending in the medevac just to try to make Showtime look at it. Look, a medevac. Deal with this. Meanwhile, the army's sharking around on both sides. You can see GuMiho just trying to keep Showtime at bay. If he can get to 3-3, he has ghosts out. If he gets that 4th base comfortably secured, well, he has an army that can beat anything. And another army to the left flank. And GuMiho just keep making sure Showtime is stretched too thinly. EMPs wash across everything. 3 Colossi standing tall, but the siege tanks will make him think twice. And now Showtime a little supply blocked right below 200 supply. +3 ground weapons is completed. Just the weapons upgrades, which means those Colossi are at maximum damage and stims. Oh, they need rehab or medevacs to be able to heal. As right now, these units cut down easily. Some of the ghosts being taken down as well, but coming around the corner is making things difficult for the melee units that are charge knots. An observer will spot the 2nd army retreating, though. Showtime. The give and take. The disruptors on the left, the Colossi on the right. He's got his splash damage on either side. Much harder to mix them up, as dividing up the armies becomes quite complicated. I like what he's attempting to do. Disruptor! Directly to the face! Headshot directly onto GuMiho's units, and his supply is obliterated. 30 supply down. 1 or 2 hits. He gets 5 Marauders. 11 Marauders, actually. It didn't update yet. Double-digit Marauders in a single blow. And now Showtime smells blood in the water. Oh. It's not over yet, though. There's still the army supply. There are still siege tanks. GuMiho's been forced to consolidate his entire army together, which makes for a much more direct target. Showtime has forced GuMiho into a position that he can corner him and kill him. He just needs to land it. And now, here come the Colossi. +3. The disruptors are coming up. Good target fire from GuMiho. Knocks out a couple Ruptors. Are there enough left over? Fires at near point blank. Clips a few more Marauders. But the siege tank target fire. Another curveball comes around the corner. And Showtime loses a chunk of his army, most of his disruptors, but warps in another cinematic of charge lots. But GuMiho's target fire with the siege tanks, the beautiful, beautiful siege tanks, was enough to mitigate the disruptor fire and keep GuMiho in the game. And he will start a fusion core. Though almost certainly for advanced ballistics, as is almost required against a high enough disruptor count. But GuMiho's defense is holding strong. We'll see how long they can do so. Another fight. The Vikings, not nearly enough of them. Disruptor hits zealots and siege tanks alike, but good enough. And the Colossi still zoning for now. Showtime has really been working his position. The disruptors may not have been able to end things. Takes out the observer. GuMiho realized exactly why Showtime was able to move so perfectly. Disruptor shot curves around, hits a few loyal zealots who have a tough working relationship with the disruptors. Dark Shrine is on the way. SCV's going down with the base. And now we're just 1 shot away. And GuMiho desperately trying to take a fight. Knocks out the Warpin. A very important pickoff. But the Colossi are still standing. Another shot. 15 kills, 7 kills, 17 kills on the Colossi. The Disruptors get the rest. GG. Game 1 goes to Showtime. A beautiful defense. Able to turn things into his favor. I was going to say around, but at no point in that game did it really feel like Showtime was in a losing position. He took a couple tough battles, but what he gained of them was much more. A real focus on making sure he safely gets his infrastructure and his production. That's nobody gets excited by saying 20% faster infrastructure and 10% more production. Yes, but that's part of why Cyril is the best player in the world. Isn't so much the flashy micro, but making sure everything is done before it needs to be. So you don't have to do that flashy micro. And, well, being in the right spot at the right time, more than enough for Showtime. To show us it's his time to finally claim a championship. Though it's just one game, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Game 2's on-site Delta. But that game very much, I was whelmed in a good way. Not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed. That was exactly the sort of constant tactical movement from both sides that I expected to see. Trying to set yourself up for success, so that way when it falls into your lap, you can obliterate it with disruptors. And all it takes is that one. One good volley is what really cracked things open. Game 2. Twilight again. I wouldn't be surprised to see it ever. We'll probably see a Stargate mixed in at some point. But the Twilight for Blink has been worked out as the most reliable way by far. In order to deal with all the early shenanigans that Terrans can come up with. Whether it's Marauders, Cyclones, Widow Mines, Liberators, Ravens, Hellions, Reapers. Did I miss anything? Just generic siege tank pushes, medevac drops. Blink Stalkers are your best tool. Unfortunately, the Stargate is kind of soft counter by Cyclones, which have bonus damage to mechanical. Widow Mines are still an existential threat to Oracles. It's just costly, very gas heavy. And then, even if you do defend in the air, you're not necessarily able to follow it up on the ground. So that is why the Blink Stalkers are a staple of Terran or Protoss versus Terran, much the same way the Stargate is in Protoss versus Zerg. Something to keep control of the situation, but not as required to have as many units on the ground, because you can wall off. But enough hypotheticals. Let's be more practical here. There are 6 Marines in a medevac. Just throwing them in there, setting them across, and seeing what they can get. Showtime notices he has the Stalkers patrolling, looking for something just like this. Blink is not quite done yet. Right around 4:20 it usually finishes. And, well, that medevac blazing its way out of there on the afterburners, realizing the Blink is nearly complete. The Stalkers are chasing, though. Showtime not willing to let it go. He knows that if there was a medevac early, like this, there's unlikely to be something that he needs Blink Stalkers against. Because if there was going to be a Widow Mine drop, or even a Liberator, it would have showed up. But he saw the Marines come out of the medevac, so that means he's safe enough to literally walk up. As the siege tank lets him know that it's not completely undefended. But Showtime taking his 3rd base, actually taking it to the northern side. Not going for the triangle base here. That is a bit more rare. Alright, GuMiho's got his 3 racks ready to go. A Raven on the field this time around. Honestly, taking out those observers might be a higher priority than it already is. Hello? So the siege tank doesn't quite cover the entire ramp. As Showtime realizes there. Gets a Marine, and he anticipates the drop. It was pretty clear. Oh, the Stalkers doing what they do best. Stalking the medevac. They don't know it's here. And actually, maybe a little too early. Oh, he spots it. And the Marines will start dropping out, but he should be able to just barely knock down the medevac. And again, the anticipation is there, but at the same time, Nope. Raven decides the shield battery is not worth it. Maybe you kill a few probes, but you waste all the energy. A scan? I like how GuMiho tried to maximize the scan there. Not just landing it on a base, but where there's likely to be more tech. Unfortunately, Showtime seems to have anticipated that as well and has his tech all tucked in. Another medevac in GuMiho's own base. He's losing units out of it. The army halfway across the map. GuMiho. Gumi, no! Well, now Showtime realizes that GuMiho's committed. He's going to do some sort of attack. Is there interference matrix? No. And without it, you can't really lock down those Colossi. And even a single Colossus. And charge is done. He just rushed out charge. He skipped the forge and instead went straight for charge. And that means he's going to have enough on the ground in order to fight directly. GuMiho just queued something up towards the main. I always love having the mini-map cams. Makes my job a lot easier. Pretending I know what I'm talking about and I'm being smart when I just saw them move their camera. It's like, oh, he's going to send something to the main. That's usually why you look. But he decided against it. Realized the observer. More important, honestly, taking out Showtime's observers is by far the most important thing for GuMiho, I think. Making sure... Oh, look at the supply. Spylons being set up. Weird buddy cop combo. Cyclone and Raven. Raven, you killed my partner. And now, my revenge processes have been activated. I'm gonna tell my friends what you did. We're not friends, we're colleagues. I don't... Showtime setting up that vision in a much more comfortable position than the previous game even. Showtime making a line of vision across the map. Making sure he has advanced warning for anything that might come across. And you need to build pylons anyways. Also could work for warping and charge lots to counterattack in a pinch. So. Showtime just waiting. He's waiting for GuMiho to take a fourth, I believe. He's got 4 bases going on 5. He's got double upgrades. He's got even more gates. He's about maxed out. He's, I think, quite intentionally kept his probe count relatively low. 71 probes. Not building anymore. Not because he can't, but because you don't want your army supply to be so low that you can't actually win a fight. If you have 85 probes and the Terran army is 120, 130 supply, you're going to have a tough time. 8 more gates on the way. Oh my. 16 gateways. Well, that's certainly... He's playing it like a Zerg right now. Up against the Turtle Terran. The first wave... Okay, now it's just getting a little excessive. 9 more gate... He's going to 20 gateways. Maybe more. He's looking to... This is the Protoss version of building 5 more command centers for Terran. Not exact... Oh, he's going to 22 gateways. This absolute mad. The entire main base is filled with gates. Well, single Marine working on things. And so that's where all our money's going, all right? You told me you were investing in the future, and you just made a bunch of gateways. Hashtag gate. But they warp in the zealots. 21. Okay, now that's just that's gratuitous. 23, 25 gates. Oh my god, is he making the amount of gates of the Homestory Cup? I think he missed it by 1. 25 gates for Homestory Cup 25, though. A ridiculous number. And honestly, he can't... Well, he actually has enough. He has 2,800 minerals in the bank. Just an obscene number of gateways. And GuMiho's been bottled up at his 3rd. Let's see it. I think he's waiting to be able to warp them all in at once. Wow, he's trolling him in the finals. All right, he does a warping. Warp Prism is spotted, but that's only half of his potential power. GuMiho is going to try to outlast Showtime to such an extent. His army is ridiculously cost-effective, yes. But Showtime literally has twice as many bases. The Disruptor shots takes out a sensor tower. You could send endless zealots into that bio army and do almost no damage. There's just too much concentrated firepower. The disruptors are somewhat required here. +2 infantry weapons done. Returns fire with a Ruptor. GuMiho trying to take a 4th, and that should be the trigger for Showtime to get a bit more ambitious with his attacks. As if GuMiho takes a 4th, that's a new economic lifeline that could drag this game out to the point where 25 gates won't solve your problems. So now, here comes Showtime. Anti-armor missile, though, softens things up in the center. Guardian shield, disruptor shots flung out, but I think he killed more zealots than he did Terran units. The Viking fleet, and oh no! More zealots warped in. But again, the melee units, he's getting some done. The Vikings take down, there's just so many charge lots. He hits the deck. The disruptors have not cooled down. And fires off a shot. The Vikings will try to dodge into the air. Showtime loses 2,000 more minerals, about an equal amount of gas. GuMiho going for smart servos for his Vikings. Just GuMiho things. The quick transformer upgrade. The only unit he can use that with is Vikings right now. Technically it works for Hellbats and Thors as well, but... Showtime, though. Not willing to give it up. Another wave. The charge lock count. 38. He can just completely surround the planetary fortress. The SCVs will try to repair. It's not going to be enough. Another disruptor shot. It comes up short, but how many more can he get through? Another wave warped in. The disruptor's caught! Oh no! Oh my god. The main base. It's almost hard to... It's beautiful and hard to look at the same time. You can't really concentrate on anything. A Dark Shrine on the way. GuMiho's not dead. That's not even his main command center. He had another command center ready. Another fight. Disruptors at point blank range. Tries to dodge back. The charge slots are just overwhelming the entire field. And the endless waves of zealots will be enough. He just runs him down. Wow. Endless zealots. Eventually enough to take out GuMiho, but the Zerglots. Showtime showing that he's willing to throw away as many zealots as it takes in order to get the job done. And you know, you gotta respect his commitment. And I think that's the most, trying to set a record simultaneously for the most warp gates in a game of professional StarCraft 2. And I think that was pretty close. It was like 26, 28 of them. An absolutely obscene and gratuitous amount. But that's what I always like, especially when it comes to likes and subscribes. So I can respect that. Going into game 3 with GuMiho unable to really find anything here. He's tried, it feels like he's tried almost nothing, and he's kind of low on ideas. He's been shut down in the early game completely by the Blink Stalkers. And now, well, we're on Dynasty, which is our first not-so-standard map. Our first map where maybe you can make some more creative builds happen that aren't just throw a medevac full of random bio units at them. So if there was a place to really start to turn this around, this would be it. Because that gold base at the back which is remarkably hard to defend if you're not Terran. Certainly changes the dynamic on a regular basis. Of course, if you're up against Winterstarcraft, which, if I could make a bold prediction, I think may eventually grace the field, things can turn around quickly there as well. So, GuMiho will take the gold. Showtime, a bit more conventional with the normal blue base at the bottom of the natural. Reaper, the adept pre-shading to try to give him another opportunity. But GuMiho backs off immediately. Is this his first scout? No, he's already seen. He poked him. Reaper gonna play ring around the Nexus. Backs off. Cyclone on the way. There's the Twilight Council. Starport in production. So far, Showtime. He's got his build and he's sticking to it. And if it ain't broke, why fix it? In fact, your Protoss, you can't fix anything. Not like the SCVs are going to come over and repair your mechanical units. I don't think so. With the prize winnings that Protoss gets, they don't have enough money to pay for that. It's going to be a medevac, a cyclone, and whatever else he could throw in there. Now, the idea isn't necessarily bad. It's just Showtime has handled himself so well against exactly this. It's looked almost silly. But Showtime is anticipating these builds incredibly well. Remember, on a regular basis, Showtime plays against players like Clem, who, and even though GuMiho can beat Clem about 50-50 at the time, that's a very different situation. I'm not sure how much Maru, or Hero rather, is like Showtime. Hero is a completely different player than Showtime. Like, almost playing an entirely different. There's Shield Protoss and there's YOLO Toss. The two main flavors. And it's almost like they're playing an entirely different game. And it's a lot more difficult most of the time, it seems, to be a Shield Protoss like Showtime. But when you're on point and you're looking really good, it feels almost unbeatable. And right now, Showtime, well, GuMiho backs off. Before his medevac can get caught and killed, he's going to try the cloaked Banshees as a follow-up, which is definitely, it's one of those, it's so late, it might become effective again. Because early on, Showtime will likely have detection, will likely have Winterstarcraft back at home, but the Banshees come in like 2 minutes from now. And they're waiting. He's going to wait out for the cloak. There's a chance that there's just nothing to defend against. What did he get? A Reaper. Okay. And also, GuMiho does have that gold base, contributing to a slight income lead. He's going to have to defend it. Has a siege tank in position. The Stalker's on the way across the map. And the delayed and pre-cloaked Banshee. There's a Spylon in the way. GuMiho giving Showtime the benefit of the doubt. And that means, oh, the Banshee! He's building an observer back at home, but he might not realize there's already one in the main. But Showtime blunks over the top. SCVs are pulled. Blinking Stalkers back with the Prism itself. But there should be enough Marines. Yeah, and he drives back the Stalkers. Actually gets one more. Another siege tank coming down, targeting the battery directly. And the Banshee coming back to help with the defense. Where's the observer? Almost, he gets the battery. May get a probe or two. Showtime pretending like he doesn't have an observer. The Banshee's still able to get away in time. So GuMiho, for the first time, is able to get some damage done without taking a huge amount of counter damage. But it's not over yet, as the Blink Stalkers are at the front. There's no super easy angle into the base. It is on the top of the small ramp. May get a depot. Stim's not quite done yet. Still about 30 seconds out. Couple Marauders. Stalkers using the bottom of the ramp. They have superior range to the Marines, making things very difficult. Gets another depot. GuMiho already had plenty of depots rebuilt. And a siege tank will drive this out now for good. Showtime still with some Stalkers anchored back. The Banshee taunting them. Another Banshee at the third base. Showtime's third, a little later than usual. His worker count not looking as healthy. The double drop setting up. Picks off a single SCV and has to blink away. And now, into the main with the Blink Stalkers. Banshee is taken down. The bio slipped out, and I don't think an observer spotted this, though. He's trying to outflank. Oh, he realizes the siege tank has nothing left to protect it, so here we go. Stalkers in the back, Stalkers in the natural, but no Stalkers in Showtime's base. Banshee comes back in, knocked down. SCV's being taken out, but a Marauder will help out a lot in this defense. The third Nexus finishes, but not for long. Will be put right back where it was before. Nowhere. Infantry weapons, +1 done for GuMiho's. Down to 32 workers, but he's taken out that all-important third Nexus. So, significant damage for both sides. GuMiho's worker count suffers, but Showtime without a third, things are somewhat difficult. Now this is not. He's dodging Marauder shots with a prism, which is technically something you could do. Is it something you could do practically on a regular basis? Well, in this case, it's helping him get a few more kills, but if he loses the prism, it's certainly not worth it. Should be able to get away using the Stalkers to buffer. And so far, so good. Colossi. Extended Thermal Lance just started. Working on the base again. But GuMiho, how long till he mines out? He's got 100 minerals there. Once he does, he can easily move through this. Ooh, almost goes too far. Here comes the Colossus War Prism. Neither player willing to let this go. Blinks forward. Siege tank range, though. Something not to be trifled with. Showtime. Moving around. This is a precarious army. That's a lot of bio out of GuMiho. If he overstays his welcome, Showtime could find himself in an awkward spot. But he's trying to keep GuMiho contained. But fighting up a ramp into siege tanks. Showtime playing offensive defense for his third, I think, right now. Trying to make sure that GuMiho can't easily move out. And he can take a good fight against him if he decides to do so. Warping some more. Single Marauder sliced up. Showtime's up to 8 gates back at home. No upgrades. GuMiho does not have a third command center. He's pretty locked in to this composition. And oh no, the Vikings! They get... It lives. The Prism who lived. That's so helpful. The threat of that Prism is... It's not as good as the Prism itself, but it's very important. I appreciate GuMiho with his production line here. He's depot of depots. And why not? And now the minerals are mined through, which means GuMiho can easily move his army along the northern path. And we may be headed directly into another base trade. As the army is spotted, if you're going to recall, now is the time. He does. The rest of the army is going to have to walk back, which means, a disruptor shot slows things down a moment. The Vikings... One gets picked off. The Disruptor going to be taken out. Another Colossus stumbling back. The Disruptor lives. The SCVs! The boys are pulled, and GuMiho's just going for it right now. A couple Vikings, but 3 Colossi. The Marauders are actually taking a lot of damage. No upgrades. Wait a second. The Terran army. Disruptor shot hits home. But Showtime is losing. He lost all of his gateway units. The SCVs were slaughtered. But they bought the time the bio needed. He's juggling a Colossus, but there's still a Viking. No shield batteries left. Disruptor shot dodges away, and GuMiho, it was do or die. And he Gumi does. Down goes the Robo, and without it, there's no splash damage to deal with this. Showtime underestimated the bio. Or at least, just couldn't come up with the units, and GuMiho actually powered 3 Colossi and a Disruptor, and it's not enough. The siege tanks, as well as that +1 weapons upgrade. The SCV is buying that little bit of extra time for GuMiho to take down the Colossi, and he strikes back. Whew. A strong effort from the Admiral. Not out of it yet, He needed that. Going down 3-0. Even if you think you have the most genius builds, that's way too thin a margin. So GuMiho strikes back. Though Showtime, even throughout that game, a tough loss, but it feels like Showtime was still dictating the pace of it throughout. It came down to a desperate base trade from GuMiho to get a point on the board. The Blink Stalkers have been serving him well as we go into game number 4. Alkione. We'll see what GuMiBro has for us this time, as he's going double gas to start. And is he still mining? No. I mean, okay, he's not mining 3 out of 3, which means he does want to expand rather quickly. It's not like an all-out one-base tech build. No. It's certainly something fresh. Showtime. I think we can predict at this point what he's likely to do. But there's always room for surprises. Even then, it's just kind of a tough map to attack in the Terran. And he still made it work. It was just GuMiho picked a perfect timing before picking off the third base the first time was what set up that timing. If he doesn't get that, there's more than enough units from Showtime to follow that up. So, Showtime acknowledges that there was a double gas, or yes, he saw the double gas, so that's why we have a shield battery on the way. Doesn't know exactly what he's dealing with, but he knows it's going to be something that is a command center, and that means more units. Second Reaper. What, dart in towards the main, or is he actually going to join up with the Cyclone? Second thing. It's going to be Blink from Showtime. Feels a little redundant to say that at this point, but... Starport on the way. Siege tanks already. No Reaper wall from Showtime. I appreciate that. As the Reaper wall, in my opinion, more often than not, ends up being used against the Protoss than any benefit it provides in actually walling off the Reapers, which is oftentimes a fool's errand anyways. Especially when you see them do the little grenade thing and pop over the side, which is just depressingly hilarious when it happens. There's the Robo. Another gate on the way. Is he just doing a siege tank push? GuMiho boiling his builds down to what he likes best, which is siege tank pushes. Alright, every game has gotten closer and closer to just being a siege tank push as the entire build. That last game was one off the back of them, and again, he's going to carry them across the field. So, 2 siege tanks loaded up into a medevac, but Blink is about to complete. So, this battle for the watchtower could really dictate the pace of the next minute or two. Oh, the Stalkers. One at a time, though. Big hits! Ooh. Doesn't take much from those tanks to take out the Stalkers. But Showtime's able to retreat. And will maintain the count. Robo-Bay. Quick Robo-Bay. Did he actually skip charge? Yeah, no charge. Before the Robo-Bay, at least. Which is really interesting to me. I would think charge against a heavy siege tank style is a high priority, but he really wants to make sure he has the Colossi in time to deal with this. The Observer spots it. Immortals on the way. Immortals are a much more direct response. The charge lots just make things very difficult for the siege tanks. Immortals will just take them out directly. He's going to be relying entirely on the Stalkers here. Multiple shield batteries on the way, but GuMiho not willing to stay put back at home. No third command center. So, whoa. There's the charge. Robo-Bay is done. Does he have a Colossus queued up? No. Interesting. So Showtime a bit in between the tech paths right now. Those 3 siege tanks are an existential threat to the Stalkers and, for the most part, Immortals. Knocks out the Observer. There's another Observer on the high ground. Has Showtime. Always very active with them. Here's the Colossus. He unsieges the tanks, and now Showtime's going to move in. There isn't charge, though, so we can't close the distance quite yet. GuMiho. Just play. He's trying to bait him into a fight, but Showtime keeps backing up. The Observer. There has to be an Observer. Showtime has to know. I mean, GuMiho has to know. Showtime's moving in at such perfect timings. There must be an Observer. Like, loses a sentry. But literally every moment that he unsieges, Showtime moves in. GuMiho knows it's there, but he can't do anything about it. Showtime put in such a great spot. And now GuMiho's forced to back off and take a third. Showtime's going to open up the path to his 4th. He's getting the double forge on the way charge is about to complete. And the Observer moved and spots. Oh, wow, perfect. Observer literally 1 pixel within range to see this drop in time. Very important pixel. He will kill the medevac. The Venn scan finally picks off the Observer. But what did it cost him? Pretty much everything. Siege tanks trundling across the map. 5 of them now. Showtime, though, with a pretty comfortable army. Able to play real zone defense, as the siege tanks can't get too far forward or they're going to get picked off. Big volley. Gonna go through the rocks, open up a path, scans the army, realizes he's safe enough to move forward. There's no Observer nearby, so Showtime has to take some educated guesses on when the army's moving. But it's a little slow in moving down towards the 4th, and that means there's going to be an opportunity to set up these tanks in quite a nasty position. The Phoenix is spotted. The charge lots. If he could wall this off somehow. He did open up the rocks, but GuMiho, you could see him going to... He wants to protect against the charge lots, but the charge lots are just headed across the map. They're at the watchtower. They spot this army. The reinforcements are cut off. Showtime looking to move in. The siege tank's caught out in front. GuMiho not quite hitting the stims. And a single Colossus, not even gonna go down. More siege tank hits, but actually all 3 Colossi live, and the charge lots are safe, and that's it. GuMiho taps it out. Match point for Showtime. Showtime, a decisive victory. He's able to cut off the reinforcements with the charge lots, jump the army. A textbook dismantling, and that put Showtime 1 game away from taking the entire tournament. Well, GuMiho just struggling to keep up. Showtime, I feel like GuMiho is used to playing against much cuter Protoss. I know, Hero, one of the cutest Protoss out there, but Protoss who are looking to trick you and surprise you. Showtime is playing the same build every single game, the same way, and GuMiho keeps trying to circumvent it, but it's just not working out. Showtime is the wall maintains his consistency, and it puts him up 3-1. We're going into game 4 on Crimson Cord. No, 5. 5, yes. GuMiho's only victory, a desperate SCV pull. The only reason we're not already done here. Crimson Cord is a tough map to really deal with siege tanks in any sort of position, but definitely not as difficult to maneuver as Dynasty was. Gonna be another double gas out of Gomi. More Reapers. I'm surprised we haven't seen even an attempt at like a Proxy Rex Marauder. Oh my god. What a crazy build out of Showtime. For 5 games in a row, he will pick the Twilights. And if I may be so bold, I predict Blink Robo. Gonna get a shield battery at the natural, making sure he's got it covered. As he does know that GuMiho went for a later expand and is likely going to have some tech early. So. Widow Mines. That's the choice. Hasn't yet pulled him out as the early game. So Widow Mines, not too many months ago, were nerfed. They now have a fancy red laser line instead of like a spider silk thread indicating their target. Their radius was reduced somewhat significantly. They're not quite the game ending, or they don't have the game ending potential or likelihood they once did against the probes. But that doesn't mean they can't still do a lot of damage, especially considering their cost at literally half of that of a Stalker. So we'll see if GuMiho's able to get more done with the mines than he has been with almost everything else so far. Robo on the way. Showtime playing it so like it's the same exact build. Usually this is Terrans doing this. Same build every game. Right down the center. The mine drop's coming in. GuMiho has sent out a medevac, I believe, every game. It's had different units in it every game. And now it's time for the mine. Showtime anticipating this. But will he spot it? Well, the Widow Mines will drop out. Showtime moves away. Sacrifices one probe. Blink Stalkers just burrows the mine. And another sacrifice. Prairie dogs it a bit. And, well, takes the probe. The medevac get out. No, the medevac was taken out as well. So, that seems like quite a that did not do much. He loses the medevac and both mines for 2 probes. Bit of mining time. That's not much of a consolation prize at all, but it's technically not nothing. It's something casters say to sound smart and make it seem like it wasn't an utter failure. But here we are. Robo Bay on the way. Charge behind it. It's the same thing. And why not? Why not? Conventionally, Protoss is played like you have another card to play in your deck. I'm pulling out my DT card or my Disruptor drop card. Showtime's like, I only have 1 card. It's like, well, how are you gonna... where are your other cards? No. Alright. I've got my card. And so far, he's played it well. We'll see if GuMiho can come up with something. As the observer's in place, he's going to see the army move out. The production is coming up in time. Stim, Combat Shield +1. The triple threat is on the way, but it's still a while out. This is just a vanilla tank push. Will he pre-scan? Does GuMiho know? Yeah, there's the scan. He knows where the army is. He's trying to stay in the trees here, but the observers... in fact, 2 observers. Liberator comes in at a good time. Oh, Showtime finds a perfect spot to make sure that it can't take things... Oh, both observers! Alright, 2 birds with 1 scan. A Liberator. Oof. Now this is real mining time. He's gonna lose a couple probes. Well, saves the Stalkers. So, minimal damage, but a lot of attention dragged away. Showtime 57 to just 54 SCVs, but GuMiho not suffering many losses here. So, we're looking for silver linings at the moment. And it's mostly that GuMiho hasn't thrown away a lot of units doing minimal damage. Medevacs. Deciding against it. Showtime. Hallucinated probes. 4th base is on the way. More gates coming online. If you want to learn how to play Protoss, doesn't matter. I mean, obviously it's working, but if you want a standard Protoss versus Terran build, I think we've had it demonstrated several times over here. As Showtime has slightly adapted based on whether he's up against like a siege tank push or more bio, like going for more immortals early or rushing to Colossi. But both the early build and the follow-up timings and when he's taking these bases, like these are, that's kind of the beauty of it is how relatively simple it is. The devil's in the details, yes. But right now, GuMiho just not stacking up against it. We've got disruptors. 2nd Robo's on the way alongside that 4th base. War Prism headed out as well. It's going to be 3 Colossi. He's up to 8 gates. All the fixins. GuMiho still. Healthy supply. Actually has a couple more workers. 69, which is a nice little lead. Showtime with a beautiful base setup. There's so much airspace over here in the trees. So the entire quadrant of the map, that's just airspace. War Prism speed is on the way. One of those upgrades you fill in as you get to the later game. A little earlier than you might expect it, but can be very helpful for circumventing especially turrets in the main base. Allows you to get by without outright dying, which is preferable. Spylon's on the way. Showtime setting himself up for success. GuMiho going to face the main army of Showtime, and the real difficulty will be trying to get to a 4th. Here comes the Prism. There's a Cyclone in place, though, and that's a big part of this, but he doesn't lock on. So the Vikings will chase back, and now the army's moving in. Somehow the Prism survived long enough to die to turrets at the natural. A bit of a mistake there, but still the damage done. The Chew Toy Depot distracting Colossi and charges lots of life. Takes out one of the Widow Mines that was helping the zone. Disruptors, we're looking for an opportunity. There's actually not that much vision right now for Showtime. At least not where the army is. So, may need some more observers. As GuMiho, he's got 3 ghosts, 3 tanks, 14 marauders, 6 Vikings. He's got an army that can take Showtime off. It comes down to positioning, reaction time, bit of elbow grease. But one big fight could end it, but that SCV, if I stand very still, the Protoss won't notice me. 10 more gateways on the way. The gateway explosion. 11. Okay, like you can read it now for yourself. 12. I'm gonna keep doing it. I lied. All right. I can also read. Disruptor, exploratory shot. Quite a dangerous observer. 18. Okay, no, oh, this is gratuitous. That is. Oh my. There's no way. That's as much as I like the idea. I mean, they're a zealot and a half apiece, and a lot of the issue with fighting Terran is you might take a decent battle, but their follow-up units are just stronger. Like, having 30 supply of bio and 30 supply of gateway units isn't even a contest. So, in being able to refill your supply effectively like a Zerg, he's playing 300 supply Protoss. He's making 25 gates. 26. I keep thinking he's doing 25 for Homestory Cup 25, but he keeps going one over. All right. That's styling on GuMiho now. GuMiho's adding those extra command centers. We're multiple more starports on the way. And in comes the fusion core. Fusion! Cool. Well, I do think it's going to be for advanced ballistics, but it's GuMiho. So if there was anyone who was willing to use the fusion core for potentially other purposes, which shall remain unnamed to not jinx it, well, they start and end with GuMiho, so. Vikings looking for an opportunity. There are currently 26 warp gates. Oh my. The bio army's moving out, though. GuMiho has survived. Showtime did not really make a strong attempt to outright smash the 4th base, instead opting to make sure he has all his infrastructure, more gateways that he almost could ever use. Hopefully he never has to use them. GuMiho goes for Caduceus Reactor, Medevac regen upgrade first. Now you can't regen out of a disruptor shot, but everything else. Those stims you hit in order to avoid the ruptors, though. I love that. Because he doesn't have any liberators right now, so advanced ballistics isn't going to be very helpful. So might as well get that Caduceus Reactor. And a massive drop, and by massive drop I mean a double drop into the main. The gateways! There's so many gateways! He can't move around the base! The wall has created a wall of Protoss! Nuclear missile is on the way! And finally, 5 games and like an hour in, we've got a game. Game 1 was a pretty decent back and forth. Every game past that has been quite a decisive moment, one way or the other. But now there's enough in the bank for both sides. There's enough tech, there's enough production, and the map is so constricted. It's very hard to fight into a defensive position. So unless GuMiho eats a massive disruptor hit, or Showtime bites off more than he can chew, which is not very much, as Protoss don't have mouths, then we're in store for a longer one here. 5 liberators at a time. GuMiho slaps down 2 more command centers right in the way. I choose to believe he's going to build a planetary fortress wall against the wall. Speaking of the planetary fortress, actually, if the command centers will buffer for now. Disruptor shots to smash through. He cancels the command centers. The siege tanks are in position. Charge lots into the 3rd. The liberators, creating a Venn diagram of freedom to make sure that they bring liberty to anything underneath. The stalkers are going to try to fight directly. Where is the beacon? Showtime. You must light the beacon. You know that's not the end of it. You know there's going to be more. So I'm just waiting to see when it's Showtime who will call in the fleet. He's looking around. The liberators are sieging up. Showtime built... Oh wait, no, he has a Stargate now. Those Colossus swipes. There are 6 liberators at a time for GuMiho. Those 3 reactored starports. He's got building armor and high-sec auto-trekking on the way. That's how you know. When we get the Bronze League Heroes upgrades, that's how you know we're settling in. Disruptor shots flung out. More dangerous force fields than actually intending to hit anything. Showtime has more minerals and more gas in the bank, but 1,400 to 800 gas is not a big gap. Showtime actually hasn't mined any of the gas at his outlying bases. So he's got that if he's interested in it. He's still got a lot of resources to work with. The planetary fortress will be targeted down. Vikings knock out a Colossus. The planetary going down actually opened up quite a concave for the bio army. Where is the 20 zealots are warped in as again Showtime. Another vanguard of zealots. The stalkers blink forward, trying to target down, but that is so much liberation at hand. The disruptor shots over the top, but there's too much liberty. It's not gonna work. That's too many. There are too many liberators. 9 liberators. Half a dozen more in production. Where is it, Showtime? Where is the beacon? He's trying to end it. He has the economy. He has the bases. He has 26 gates. And by Tassadar, he's going to use them. But at some point, the Liberator count gets too damn high. And I feel like that point was crossed a minute ago. That's so many charge lots. The Liberator... Oh my god, no! No, it's not happening. The building armor, he fires off a broadside. And the disruptors with a vengeance. But he fires everything, which leaves no more disruptor shots. And GuMiho, that vengeful volley, may cost Showtime another huge chunk of his supply. GuMiho more than happy to take advantage of the lack of splash damage. That was a shot out of frustration. He just held it down, spray and pray. And his prayers, not exactly answered. The monkey's paw curled. He got the planetary, but he lost everything else. And now he doesn't even have the money to use those gates. Showtime. Honestly, I think a display of frustration against that sort of army. It feels like the most calm, cool, and collected player here. Instead, falling prey, it's like, I should be able to end this. Come on, I've had so many more bases, but now he's trading them. A Terran. GuMiho has the supply lead. The money is gone. The Liberators fly right over. A gracious donation. And Orbital Command will go down. Showtime loses 2 Nexi. He's got another one in the corner that GuMiho never anticipated. Surprising, but GuMiho's down to 33 SCVs, which means he has 163 army supply. And by the way, he has a nuke. I didn't even mention it. I don't even know if GuMiho remembers it, but there is a nuclear missile in the silo right now. The Liberator's in an awkward spot, but without storms, without tempests. Showtime he's just looking to get him out of position. And so far, GuMiho has not been found there. The Disruptor's at point-blank range, fires off a volley, chunks up some of the bio, but the Liberators are able to pin down a whole bunch of the gateway units as well in Showtime. He drained that bank so fast. Oh my god. He must have been investing in NFTs. And now, suddenly, where's the value? He had the map control. He has 333 upgrade. Disruptor! Huge shot! GuMiho walks right into it. Oh no! Another chunk. He finds the base over to the left. Showtime has so many bases. He's gonna lose one up the center. But he's playing Whack-A-Nexus right. What is that army? 25 charge lots. 22 stalkers. He's going for another planetary. Plunks onto the tanks. A bold move. We'll see if it works out. He's fighting the planetary. He may get it, but again, he's driving himself. Getting the planetary will cost him almost every single zealot. And many of the stalkers. Recalls away. To where? The natural, I guess. The Liberator count is so damn high. 8 of them still. And building more. GuMiho is pretty much out of money. There's another base. He hasn't mined through the mineral wall. But GuMiho should. How many medevacs? 9 medevacs, 8 Liberators, 27 Marauders. And now the Disruptor hits. A desperate hope. But GuMiho has no income. Showtime has had the income lead for 10 minutes straight. But GuMiho has the army to throw around. Oh, Showtime. Was there another warp prism? 4 warp prisms have died. I believe another one just... Yep. Those Liberators take it out. They have advanced ballistics. You can't hit them. It's literally just too much range. And now a beachhead created. This base is not gonna last. Showtime never built the fleet beacon. And now he suffers for it. The Liberators leapfrogging. The Overwatch there too much. And now going to attempt yet another base trade. Is there anything at home? Don't look at that. Well, here we go. The Bio Ball. How many orbitals? Is there a Dark Shrine? No. He mines through the mineral wall. There's no way to deal with these Liberators, though, in this position. The nuke will be taken out in the academy. But, well, Here we go. The main base will not be breached. The Liberators will hold it. The planetary. The probes are mining from it. Target the probes, GuMiho. Actually, probably not worth it. Getting as much damage to the army is definitely the priority here. But now with bases ransacked, GuMiho has no more bases. There's still some disruptors, but they're on their own here. The probes are long distance mining. What a ridiculous situation. No, the disruptors! The disruptors! A single marauder! He knows the army is there, but the bio army is fighting. The disruptors aren't here to help. He fires off the shots, but he steps forward into the stalkers. He blinks over the top. Disruptors fire through, but the gateway army topples as the bio pushes them down, and the disruptors were nowhere to be seen. Showtime stumbling at the finish line. He was so close to locking down this tournament, and he still has disruptors in a dream. GuMiho has one SCV. Does he have an orbital? He does. He's supply blocked. Okay, actually, I still take it back. It's not over yet. The probe's on the run. The problem is, there's no answer to the Liberators. The Stargate was taken down. The gateways are vulnerable. There's still an observer. I think GuMiho, well, he's mining with his last SCV. An observer, he splits off a medevac. The Liberators are right-clicked onto it. There's still the disruptors. He didn't kill the Ruptors. Shots fired. And connects. Actually, Showtime can, well, a single cannon. Showtime has potential here. The disruptors must land. Point blank range. But he targets the Ruptor. Another one picks up with the rest. It takes out a bunch of zealots. GuMiho slips away at the last second and baits Showtime into killing 4 of his own zealots with the disruptors. Oh, it's a disaster for the German Protoss. Where are the Ruptors? There are only 3 left. And GuMiho. Honestly, it just feels like GuMiho has all the momentum. Showtime did not. He has not made any direct counter to the Liberators. The Liberators are just able, they outrange everything on the ground. That's why the ballistics are so advanced. They're like, oh, how about we try shooting even further? It's like, oh my god, genius. And now, Showtime has been bleeding out units. GuMiho has been going off of 1 SCV. He's barely built anything. Another Nexus taking down more probes as well. It's disruptors, but he has the upgraded medevacs. He has a bio ball here. There's 1 orbital left for scans. The Liberators, now 1 gets picked off, but another one is in position. Oh my, how has it come to this? This is ridiculous. Showtime gonna bleed out a few more zealots. It's the disruptors. If the disruptors die, then everything else follows suit. Those medevacs. Fires off a shot. Not quite. Another shot. Gets out of there. The medevac count, still 9 of them. The Liberators on the corners. He builds a Stargate. If he had 1 Void Ray, or even a Phoenix. Oh, where's the Observer? There's no way he's scanning for it. The Observer not there, but he spots the army. Knocks out another Stalker. The chase continues. Long distance mining while he tries to deal with the Liberators. A single Marauder in production. He's up to, he's doubled his SCV count, GuMiho has. Probes long distance mining because they can't mine from these bases because of the Liberators. Showtime only has 24 workers left. He finds a medevac, but that means the army is out of position in order to at least challenge GuMiho on the map. Neither has vision of exactly where the other army is. That single observer. Disruptor! Now Showtime's fishing for the game-winning shot. The tournament-winning shot. God. It looked genius when it was working, but 26 gateways might be a bit much investment. 15 Marauders, 14 Marines, 8 Medevacs, and the 2 Liberators. Also very important, that one Ghost. He spots the Observer. He's not able to kill it. There's still a Robo Bay. He still doesn't have any Stargate units, because he can't afford them. Showtime. Dippy in supplies still. There's still the Observer overhead. More probes may die here. Showtime tries to get away. Gonna lose a few more. He's down to as many as he started with. GuMiho's still at 2. Another Liberator dead. Some charge lots heading out, but like, to what end? Well, they're looking to see if GuMiho maybe has a base in. GuMiho has sent a starport into the corner. You know, in order to win a game of StarCraft, technically, you must kill all your opponent's buildings. And we're getting closer and closer to a point where neither player is capable of doing that. GuMiho is preparing for a potential draw. And as the worker counts get lower and lower, the likelihood of that happening grows. He stims again. The medevac should always have enough energy. There's a scan. He only gets one scan every like 45 seconds or so. That last Liberator. There's another army. One unlucky charge lot caught. He hits the stims again, but the medevacs should have energy. Caduceus reactor doubles the energy regen there. Looks like GuMiho going to use his factory to scout, and why not? That Observer is right over the army. I think he just clicked it on a medevac now. He could EMP with the Ghost to detect it. Another supply depot. GuMiho gonna be unsupply blocked potentially for the first time, and well, it feels like an age. Another disruptor comes up short. And if he strays a little too far, those disruptors are still vulnerable to concussive shell. Another medevac sent out. This medevac is scouting to see if Showtime has snuck a base. So, from GuMiho's perspective, he doesn't know how much economy Showtime has. If he dives to kill probes or anything like that, Showtime could easily, unless he can narrow down every single base and know for sure that is the last nexus on the map, he runs the risk of committing everything and not getting the killing blow. From GuMiho's perspective, trying to just continually shave off units and keep Showtime from ever being able to trade, that's the highest percentage play. Maybe even force him into a draw. That is the best case scenario right now for GuMiho, from his point of view. If he knew what we knew, which is exactly the unit count of Showtime, the fact he doesn't have Dark Templar or anything like that, well then, I think, oh my god, he milled another Liberator and then lost it immediately. I think he'd be a lot more aggressive. But again, he has no vision. He's got one base left. He's got 3 workers. There is no room for error. He takes out the Observer. He knew that Observer was watching him the whole time. And now it's going to get a lot more difficult. Trading with the bio. Well, Showtime getting kind of desperate here. There's enough energy for overcharge on the single battery, and he may need it. GuMiho just going for it. There's the overcharge. That single Liberator helping out a lot. He's gonna fight on the ramp. And he dodges away again. The disruptors. Maybe able to take out the cannon. The force fields at the latest hour, but he picks them up. What a save! The last Ghost is saved. And GuMiho, well, he gets through the cannons. Another force field. But he actually stands his ground for the most part. The Sentry's not the greatest fighting units. Disruptor equips only a single Marauder, and almost only Marauders left. The last force field's exhausted. The fight will continue. A Phoenix comes in to participate. There's almost no anti-air to deal with it. A Ghost and maybe a Marine. The Marauders are fighting heads up. Disruptor shot splits the Red Sea. Hits nothing. GuMiho dodges, ducks, dips, dives, and dodges. for potentially the win. The Liberator Siege is up again. Overcharge is back online. He uses it. The unit count has dipped. He picks it up. The Ghost is dead. The Phoenix is unchallenged. And even the, well, a GuMiho with 11 Marauders, 5 Medivacs. He can't kill the Phoenix. He has no, it doesn't matter. GuMiho still has a command center and any amount of SCVs. Showtime. Oh no. Oh. 200 Zealots. 100 Stalkers. Possibly too many gateways. It's a disaster. What looked to be almost in the bag has slipped out of it. And suddenly, a much dicier series. 3-2. And we're going into Ghost River. Which, is it a sign? I don't know. GuMiho making the best plays he could from his perspective. I think Showtime, he got locked in. It's so easy to do. You're like, just one more fight is all I need. I got 5,000 minerals. How bad could it be? Well, funny you should ask. Well, game 6. Yes. Oh, that one hurts. And it makes... It's not like Showtime forgot. Now, I think if you go back, Showtime would definitely agree that maybe Templar or Tempest, somewhat ironically, the least temporary units you can have in the late game, but it only would have taken one fight. One good disruptor hit. And that's the edge of a knife sort of gameplay that Protoss in the late game sometimes has to suffer through, but by the time he may have transitioned into that Stargate composition, it was already too late. The fight had been lost too badly. GuMiho understood his advantage as soon as the disruptors were exhausted. Honestly, I come back to the frustration volley. That was almost like Bond villain monologuing. Just firing off your entire, in everything. Fire your entire magazine at him. And now you have to reload. And in that moment, oh no. And that's what Showtime did. Firing off 7 Raptors to kill a planetary. May feel good, but that post-disruptor shot clarity hits real hard. And now a Phoenix is the opener. Showtime changing it up completely. For the very first time, we see a Stargate. He's trying to make up for... Okay, not exactly, but it almost feels like he's trying to make up for the lack of Stargate units in the last game by starting off with them here. And definitely a map where you can make more use of them, considering that the air distances are shorter than the rush distances on the ground. So if there was ever a place to bring the Phoenixes to bear, well, here it is. GuMiho, siege tank push with that medevac. He didn't spot the Stargate. Not sure if he's seen the Phoenixes yet. Where are they? Ah, yes, they're still hidden in the main. I think Showtime waiting to reveal them. And very well. Could find some success with the initial... Yeah, there's not... The anti-air is just 10 Marines in total, and they're not even all here. So... Wait, are there any other units, though? He does need other units, right? The Phoenix, GuMiho just shows up, sieges up. So the downside here is that there are no other units. The Viking hits the deck. He depowers the Robo. Uh-oh, wait a second. Yeah, he can pick up some of this. He might even take out the medevac, but... A bunker on the way. Uh-oh. Is he dead? GuMiho has retaken such incredible momentum. He'll delay the bunker. But there's still more Tactiboys here. There's enough Marines to make life very difficult for the Phoenixes, who cut off the reinforcements. The Nexus dies! I'm joining Showtime and being shell-shocked by GuMiho now. We go from 10 minutes of playing cat and mouse to GuMiho coming in with a haymaker. All-out siege tank push, pulls SCVs, and now, while Showtime is not dead, he is contained at the bottom of his ramp by a bunker. And there's a Vikings. It's just Mass Phoenix. A lot of them already bruised. Cyclones and Vikings are more than a match for the Phoenixes, and Showtime can't really take a trade right now. He needs wins, not trades. He doesn't have much left to bargain with. Spots the Robo in the main. The Reaper spots the rest. We'll see if GuMiho... There's a small chance of a hidden base if he's not paying. The Vikings microing back. He sacrificed one so the others might get away. And he manages to join up with the army to reinforce the contain. He's going to siege up the bottom of the ramp. The Phoenixes are on the wrong side of history right now. GuMiho's building a third command center. This is the quickest third command center he's built. And he's doing it while he's sieging up Showtime's base. Oh, GuMiho. Another Robo will be pounded into oblivion by the siege tanks. No mercy. There goes the Stargate. The Assimilator as well. The probes alongside. And GuMiho is looking to bring us to match point. It's a testament to Showtime's tenacity that he survived this long, but here we go. GuMiho targets the Immortal. Picks up 2. 1, 2, 3 in the air on those siege tanks, but another Immortal is taken down. The Phoenix is being targeted. Showtime very ambitiously trying to expand, but he decides instead to expand to the next game. GuMiho manages to lay down the killing blow and bring us to game number 7. Well. Oh no. Oh no, and we're going into Amphion. Oh, GuMiho. He survives. He holds it together. GuMiho has over almost 15 years of StarCraft 2 experience. Almost 15 years. As he played in... In fact, GuMiho played random in the first couple seasons of GSL. One of the only players to ever even do so. But what I'm trying to... this is a long-winded way of saying he has the experience to turn things around. He knows when he's tilted, and he knows how to get himself back on track. Showtime needs to learn from some of that experience, I think, as he was on the precipice of victory, but he is currently at risk of falling into the canyon of defeat, as GuMiho has turned it all the way around. 3-3. What are we gonna... There's the Twilight. Back to basics. Amphion, another map that favors more creative strategies. Another map where the air distance is technically closer than the ground rush distance, though there are several asterisks on that, where between the mineral walls and depending on where your expansions are, etc., etc. But definitely not a bad map for Blank Stalkers either. The Reaper gets a probe. 5 probes pulled to deal with it. I can't help but feel like It all changed when the Disruptor Nation attacked. That one volley, it feels like was the tipping point of this series. And right, 2 kills with a Reaper and he gets out? He may finally get him with the shade. See if GuMiho whips out the grenade. Oh, the timing! Not quite, not quite. Set himself up for that one. Alright. At least he gets the Reaper. Cyclone rethinking it. Oh my god. And he just hides on the high ground. I think he's got it. I think it was quick enough. If you don't shade it, if you're not pre-shaded, the Cyclone will kill it. Oh god. Everything's just going horribly wrong. A series of incredibly unfortunate events for Showtime here. All those little details are slipping, as GuMiho is now the one taking advantage of them. And, wow, what a bold play. In Game 7, he goes with a double medevac bio play. Stim Marines. Beyond leans over, he's like, do it. And you know what? This is, well, again, it's going to be medevacs out of GuMiho. Or a medevac or two, but for the first time, instead of some dinky Widowmine or Cyclone or something drop, it's 14 Stim Marines and 2 medevacs. And this is a bold play. A Skrillex level base drop here to potentially decide the entire series. The Cyclone is suspicious of the distinct lack of any units at the 3rd. But the intercept, the observer spotted it! And down goes a medevac! And GuMiho's like, I can't believe you made me do this, Pete. And then... Showtime, a much needed win on the field. Knocks out a medevac with Marines inside and really cuts the momentum. A huge pick-off here when he needed it most. Now charge. Robo Bay on the way. +1 attack, combat shield. The Stim Marines trying to fight off against the Blink Stalkers. Showtime picking them off. No combat shield makes it a lot harder to keep them alive. He's losing a lot of those Marines. Gets 1 Stalker in return, but good Blink Micro will continue to grace Showtime. And GuMiho, honestly, his army's been thinned out so much. He has so few Marines here. The tanks will siege. Guardian Shield. For a moment. Sentry annihilated. But the Stalker count is high enough. Combat Shield and +1 seconds away. The tank's inside. He wants to stay in the trees. And there's no vision. He knows that the tanks are there somewhere, and there's no vision in those trees. I don't know how they're still hidden by the trees when they're wider than the trees themselves, but don't ask, all right? Same way SCVs fit an entire command center in their backpack. Siege tanks. Ready to go. Stalkers driven back. Double Forge. Showtime. Filling in the blanks here. GuMiho doing the same. But Showtime does have nominal map control. He can't quite bully GuMiho off the map, but he has enough Stalkers that anything but a committed push is a dicey endeavor. Nice pick off. Delays the 4th base. And he drags some of the units back. Where is the observer. All right. There should be a second robo coming up momentarily for Showtime as well. Be able to fill in more blanks. Scan on the third. No gases at the third base is quite a tell. Hallucinated phoenixes continually looking out. Medevac came back. Armory now on the way. GuMiho not going to be stingy with those upgrades. Sometimes Terrans will really focus on getting the unit composition, but he's actually getting an armory before a Ghost Academy. And he expects this game to go a little bit longer. Even if he is moving out with a push now. The charge lots are spotted. There's no vision here for Showtime. Yeah, the Zealot is sent out, but GuMiho scans for observers and immediately sends out a massive drop. But that Zealot is so important. The vision is critical. A scan on the army. And, well, the medevacs will head back and GuMiho abandons that position. He knows it's not going to happen. At least not for now. Tanks will siege up out again. Fourth base is taken. Showtime. He's got the Raptors on the way. Has not even once. In fact, I don't think we've seen an Archon. I was going to say no Storm, but I don't think we've seen any Templar. There may have been a Dark Shrine in production at one point, but otherwise no Templar of any kind in this entire series. Siege tanks. Fusion core on the way. Dare I dream? With a fusion core for GuMiho? The Liberators have been serving him pretty well, though. So I don't think battle cruisers are on the agenda. In fact, Showtime having an immensely tough time. The Viking Micro knocks out the Warp Prism. And actually, these Zealots are kind of locked in here. There's no way for them to get out. They're going to chop through the rocks from the inside. Begin the geological expedition. GuMiho just now starting the Ghost Academy. But because there hasn't been any Templar, honestly, Ghosts not as critical to the composition as they would be. Still good. Always good. But not as make or break as they are against a much more shield and energy-based army. And that's part of the reason we often see the mass disruptors over anything else. And it's not nearly as vulnerable to the Ghosts. A dozen gateways. Madness. Madness! Caduceus Reactor. I love GuMiho's, I love the focus on the medevacs, but Showtime looking to break through. But the siege tanks, the siege line is too strong. GuMiho with 4 siege tanks in position to pound the point home. Showtime not going to be able to break through there. Spylon taken out. Sensor tower covering the right flank and actually spots... Is that a pylon over there? A bit ambitious to make a proxy gate in sensor tower range. Gonna build another one in the corner. Yeah. But lining up for another attack. He spots it coming in. The siege tanks, but the ones from the low ground gonna help out as well. The bio army. And Showtime caught between a rock and a hard place. Going to really struggle to deal with this. 4 ghosts, 2 more starports on the way. Showtime, 69 probes. And a nice healthy supply right now, but more command centers. How many gates? Only 23 this time. Sure, a nice moderate number. You know, if you're looking for a number, I say 20. 20 sounds good. Oh my god, the siege tanks are just excruciating damage. No upgrades on them, but they're pretty good out of the factory. And right now, here comes Showtime. Another wave of charge lots filled in. The EMPs across the front line. The command center making life very difficult for those charge lots. One Colossus knocked out. Immortals making some progress, but it's not gonna work. The siege tanks hold the line, and even knocks out a disruptor and more. It's just not working. Oh my god. How will he financially recover from this? Showtime loses 7,000 minerals to GuMiho's 2,200 in this battle. The mineral laundering into zealots. Showtime seems committed to this mass charge lot style. But GuMiho, it feels like he's just getting better and better at defending it. He even has his factory lifted. GuMiho has only lost one siege tank. He's not even rebuilding them. They're just so good. The siege tank's just the centerpiece of the army composition. And he's making so much happen with them. There's even that one siege that the SCVs will finally repair it. I was wondering if he was going to get around to it. He's only lost one siege tank, despite Showtime's repeated attempts with an entire Protoss army to break these positions. It's not working. The army's moving around. GuMiho can see it. The bio moves out. The warp prism looking for an angle. It may actually find one in the corner, just barely. Showtime bleeding some supply. The army stimming across. Oh no. It's gonna get weird. You can't recall the Terran army. There actually wasn't enough supply to warp in. There certainly is now. Showtime will warp in even more zealots. He might be able to deny the +3 infantry armor here momentarily. Not quite. The charge lots are chasing down these badly bruised bio units, stimming themselves half to death, and the charge lots may be able to finish the job. He denied +3 infantry armor at the last second. A big win for the zealots here. Any sort of advantage he can get could spiral out of control, considering the economy Showtime has. Again, well, actually you see the mule canyons here. But SCV's dead. GuMiho, well, I take it back. Showtime doesn't have a significant economic advantage. He doesn't have that many more bases. And that many more workers doesn't really matter too much, considering mules exist and liberators are on the way. Showtime has lost 4,000 more minerals so far. The Ghost, very dead, but gets an EMP. And he's not going to break this army like this. Showtime, I beg of you. A fleet beacon. He has a Stargate, right? No. We've gone down this road before. It ended eventually in disaster. I get why he's doing it. You don't want to drag it out into the late game and just get pinned down by liberators. But there it is. Okay. He's getting +1 air weapons. He decides there's other options. The Stargate +1 air weapons. He's going to go for it. He's angling towards Tempest. Maybe carriers, probably Tempest. So now the new question is it too little? And is it too late? The series riding on it. Liberator comes up, but there's no other anti-air. He may be able to get a full warp in, but he doesn't have the supply. He actually catches the brave siege tanks out on the field. GuMiho. Finally losing them. And now there's enough supply freed up for the charge lots. The warp prism, he's warping in half of IR here, and the other half is battling on the field. This is what Showtime desperately needed through multiple games of this series. But he finally gets the massive warp in the main. The warp prism will be taken down. The charge lots will be cleaned up, but a lot of space created here. And he forces the liberators out of the way, dismantles the siege tanks, kills SCVs. And now it's time. It's time, Showtime, to show us. I'm playing him in. You can do it. He doesn't have that much money in the bank. He can't afford to throw these charge lots away yet again. The liberators. A dark shrine? Well, that's certainly... Things are certainly going sideways now. Showtime may think that he can break GuMiho outright. And if GuMiho doesn't get into position in time, he might be correct. Disruptor shot. But GuMiho's done a great job of avoiding the disruptors entirely, forcing them to fire some fadeaway shots in order to avoid the liberators. But more charge lots coming in. The disruptors on the edge of the liberation zone. GuMiho eats a big hit. But the disruptors will be chased down in turn. Showtime. Please. He doesn't have the gases. He's going to go for the big disruptor plays, which is the only way to spend more money than the Zealots. GuMiho has 7 orbital commands, 2 planetaries. He's got enough scans. Showtime's taking the center base. He's also taking the mineral wall base. He even got +1 air weapons. Observer's going to be outflanked by a turret, which is ironic in so many different ways. The Liberators have +2 ship weapons and are just pin cushioning those stalkers, easily punching through. GuMiho actually realized he didn't finish +3 infantry armor and has replaced it now. Showtime liberate. Oh my. No. It's not gonna happen. There are 17 Liberators on the field. Above the field, technically. And there it is. 17 Liberators is apparently the number to inspire Showtime. With a spirograph of freedom. But by the time that fleet beacon finishes, he's building 2, 3, 4 more Stargates. But GuMiho is slowly but surely chewing up the map with the Liberators. There is money in the bank for Showtime, but GuMiho's bank is now larger. Oh no. He's running out of real estate. And it's not a buyer's market. Disruptor finds a couple Marauders. Charge lots. He doesn't have building armor, so that's something. The charge lot should be able to take out that base. But GuMiho is getting in towards the main, where the Stargates are coming online. But Liberation is coming for the Protoss. He's base trading a Terran. There's still those siege tanks at the back. The planetary trying to do what it can. Still, a War Prism. And the fleet beacon finishes. But still, not a single Stargate unit on the field. Oh, Showtime. He is maxed out. Alright, I'm lamenting, but there's still every opportunity to break through. Showtime has the rest of the map. GuMiho again. Here we go again. GuMiho is at 10 SCVs. He's got 167 army supply. Another Dark Shrine will be built. And that may be the call, but there's still 5 orbitals. GuMiho is liberating Showtime's base from the inside out now. He's cleared the main. The Twilight is the only thing left. I don't think GuMiho really noticed. GuMiho still has a bank. Even though he doesn't have the SCVs, that just means his army supply is obscenely huge. There are still 17 Liberators. 31 Marauders. There's only 2 Disruptors on the field. This is a oh no, and the Liberators again! The Disruptor's looking for a shot from the corner, but Liberators on the other side, 5 Ghosts in production, plus 3 ship weapons is about to complete. And that's it. There's just 2 Disruptors here. The Dark Shrine is done. I've never seen a maxed out army look so impotent. But here comes Showtime, filing through the streets and gun down! Oh my. It's like watching cavalry charge into machine guns. Because that's effectively what it is. The Protoss. DT blink on the way, but Showtime is supply blocked. Check and mate. It was too late. The transition. GuMiho's maxed out. He's still got money in the bank. He can rebuild. He's got about 10 Liberators in the bank. +3 ship weapons is done. The bio ball is rolling. The mass gateway style is not going to be enough. Showtime. It's just not good enough. GuMiho showing he has the mental and physical fortitude to go the distance. And Showtime comes up short. I don't see a reality here where, oh no, with the disruptors dead, there's nothing else. That's it. A couple DTs. There's still 5 orbitals for scan. If he had DTs in that other game, maybe. There were so many opportunities. But he's stuck with the road to the end. And GuMiho, the Admiral and his Liberator fleet, will be enough. It's unthrowable now. 6 more gates on the way. Good luck with that. But here comes the Terran army. He's using Liberators for anti-air against the Colossi. Stimming and winning. There's more bio where that came from. 160 supply. And that's gonna be it. JJ GuMiho is your champion. A hard-fought series and a difficult conclusion. Showtime, so close, but yet, in many cases, incredibly far. GuMiho showing that experience matters, and that ability to turn things around even when it looks so tough. And he deserves this victory. He survives. And Jimmy, uncloak. And after quite an arduous series, he will be the Homestory Cup 25 champion. Congratulations to GuMiho. Thank you to Take TV as always. And thank you for watching. If you haven't yet checked out Patreon, if you've got the means of motivation, be awesome. Check that out. I hear liking and subscribing, though, is still free for now. But thank you for watching. Hope I made your day just a little bit better. I hope to see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill. Not a mothership. Tempest. I don't...